I'm going to start recording. And Bud, go ahead and take it away.
All right, just give me 1 second here, I guess. All right, I don't know if you can see my screen yet. Can you?
Not yet.
All right, let me take care of that. You know, you'd think I would never have been to a Zoom or done anything like this before. But let's go to here and let's hope everything goes good. And let me just get started with something. You can see it now, can't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, hold on. Let me just get one little thing. Hard to get a few of these things set up in advance. So let me start with something that might look a little familiar to everybody. Okay. Hello, friends. How's everybody doing? I'm just going to start with this picture because 3 years ago, oops, let me just go back to here. 3 years ago, I was finishing a trip, a 19-day trip around the United States on Amtrak, and I ended up in Chicago, actually twice on the trip. And here I am in the Best Western, fancy Best Western Hotel on Michigan Avenue, the prettiest street in America. And anyway, I'm not here to talk about my trip, but it was a lot of fun. And so we'll get started. And there'll be time for Q&A later on, of course. So this is going to be a demonstration on Elementor templates. And yes, my name is Bud Kraus, and you can see my email address and all that stuff. Anyway, a little story. Yes, I spoke at the United Nations and for WordCamp in 2016. It was the first and last time that WordCamp will ever be held in the United Nations. And no, I did not speak in the General Assembly, but I couldn't resist. And it was actually the very beginning of my involvement with the New York City and Northern New Jersey WordPress communities. And it's been a lot of fun ever since. And I've been twice speaker wrangler for New York City. So anyway, okay, so what are we going to do? Now, before I tell you a little bit about what we're going to do, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. And Scott, thank you very much for the intro. And China, thank you very much for letting me do this and organizing all this. I'm a person with a vision impairment, so you may see me do some like weird things, hopefully not too weird, or look really close at the screen or whatever. So I thought, or type something in that doesn't make any sense. So I thought I would just get that out of the way. That, I do have a little trouble seeing the screen. All right, so what am I about to show you? Well, there's really two things. One is we're going to take a template that's from Elementor, and we're going to turn it into a homepage or something like a homepage. And then I'm also going to show you how to use theme builder templates. That's very powerful with Elementor. So I've been using, by the way, Elementor for about a year. I actually started using it 5 years ago, or a little bit less, for a client in Chicago. And I sort of abandoned it and came back to it last year when I got involved with the client project, and we all decided, hey, Elementor was the way to go. And from that point on, I really have enjoyed working with it. Oh, a couple little calls to action before we get started. One is if you use Twitter, please follow me on Twitter. I am tired of being the least popular person on Twitter, okay? So, I'm just stuck on whatever it is, 719 or, I just don't want to be on 721. Anyway, so get me off of that. And the other thing too is I'd like you to go to my website. At the end of the night, we have links for you. So to subscribe to my WordPress Big 3 newsletter. It comes out every Sunday or just about. I talk about 3 different topics that deal with WordPress to help you make your websites better and to inform you usually on issues of security or performance or SEO or plugins or videos that I've done, just all kinds of information. So it's all non-commercial, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, let's get on with it. Oops, and for that, we're going to get rid of this. All right, so here's your dream website, right? I've always wanted to see what WordPress looks like when there was nothing in it, and this is nothing in it. We're going to turn this into a homepage in the next 15, 20 minutes, half hour or so. And so let me take a look and tell you a little bit about the environment. This is a very simple site. There isn't a whole lot going on, as you can sort of tell, right? So for this demonstration, I'm using Elementor and Elementor Pro. Okay, the Pro feature A one-site license is $49. Now they're about to raise their prices, not for the one site. You know, I don't know exactly what's going up and what isn't, but there's been a lot of talk and I guess disappointment that their prices are going up. But anyway, so I'm going to use Elementor and Elementor Pro. Now I have to tell you that I've sort of lost track of what is a pro feature and what is a just a free feature. If I can squeeze that in along the way, I will. But like I say, it's just sort of blurring together. And I'm not using any plugins. I am using the Generate Press theme for this demonstration. Generate Press is a very well-known, very popular theme, an all-purpose theme. And the only thing I want to show about that is, let me go over here and well, let's just see. Let me go over to Appearance and we'll go to Elements. And this is the pro version of of Generate Press. And what I like about it is that I can do some settings that will affect things like, for example, I can sort of neutralize the site. I don't want to display, you know, the themes footer or theme sidebars or the content title. So I just disable all that. One of the interesting things about Elementor is that it's not just a page builder, but a web design system. And it sort of takes any theme that you're going to use and basically says, okay, theme, you just go sit in the corner and I'm going to take over from here. And by the way, that is pretty much how Gutenberg is going to work, I think, too, in the near future. So themes, as we have known them, have a very different role now with these really fancy tools like Elementor and Gutenberg and others. The other thing, too, to show you is in Elementor itself. This is kind of notable because I'm going to make this a little easier, I think, to see for me. Yeah, let me see, I went the wrong way. Yeah, because by default, the default settings is that these are not checked, and I want to use my own colors and my own fonts. Okay, so I am going to check these off like over here. That's the reason why I always do that. Other than that, all the settings with Elementor that I'm using for this demonstration are the default settings. Okay. So let me go show you one other thing too, and I'm going to go back to Appearance and let's go to Menus. And you can see I've already set up a couple of pages, and I'm just showing you this because I'm going to be using this menu during the demonstration. So that's already pre-built. And then as for the pages, let's go to Pages. And you know, I have my pages set up. And the one that we're really going to focus on tonight is going to be the home page. So let's go for that. And edit with Elementor. Okay. Now, you know, when you do any tech demonstrations, you're always keeping your fingers crossed. So, you know, something could go wrong. I hope it doesn't. But, you know, like I say, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything will go well. Okay, so if you don't know Elementor or you're just like a little unsure about it, I will help you through that. This is not what I would call the beginner Elementor demonstration, but I still want to help people who are just like, I really don't know what the heck this is. So it starts out, well, here's going to be our tools over here. These are called widgets, and we'll get into all that stuff over there. In Gutenberg talk, these would be blocks. And over here is the design surface. And I have a choice here to make whether or not I want to create my own columns or I want to use a template. And I'm going to start with the template because that's what tonight is all about. And I'm pretty sure it's the free version that throws up all these templates. I don't think you need the pro version for that. There are many, many templates out there, to say the least. And one of the links we'll give you at the end of the night is we'll give you links to where you can get Elementor templates. But so anyway, you know, you can filter this by trend or popular, but I've already picked out the one I want and I've saved it as a favorite. So I'm going to go over here and here's the one I'm going to use and just click on this. And I'm going to insert this And you know, it has the whole shebang, okay? It's got everything, the columns and all the layout, the colors, everything. So I'm just going to insert that and use that as my home page. Now, whether or not this is an acceptable home page or not, well, that's for you to debate. My goal here is not to make the perfect, gorgeous home page, but just to give you an idea how templates are used and how you can use them with Elementor. So this is good. Let's just take a quick little review here. And like I said, if you don't know Elementor, that's okay. Elementor has an architecture that is on every page that is sort of something, you know, a pattern that you need to know. That is, it's made up of sections, which you can see it right over here. I've highlighted. So you can see the border around a section. Here's another section. You get the idea. And the sections have columns, and you can see the little column icon over here. Here's a column, here's a column. And inside of the column are the widgets. Okay, so if I hover over here, I can just click on this and, you know, I can just start editing that widget. Again, the widgets are like Gutenberg blocks with headings and paragraphs and images and videos and all kinds of content. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to make this design flush to the edges over here. So I don't like, because I want it to be flush, sort of like a more modern design. And for that, we're dealing with the theme. Okay, so right over here, this little button over here, oh, go away, we don't need you. And I'm going to go right down over here to the theme templates themselves. And I have a bunch of choices. Now, I could use the Generate Press template, which is what I'm using now. Or I can use the built-in default Elementor template, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do this right over here. Now, if I were to use, yeah, I'm going to use this one over here. And you'll see that what it does is it flushes out, or it pushes out the design so that it occupies, you know, it spreads it out to the entire page. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Now, it turns out we're not going to use all these sections, so it's real easy to remove them. And for that, I'm going to make an adjustment here so yours truly can see this a little better. Okay, and I am going to remove this section, and I'm going to remove this section. All I'm doing is clicking that X arrow, or that X button in the section, and away we go. And that's all I want, believe it or not. I just want to use this guy and this section over here, and then I'm going to add a section too. So remember, this is going to be the home page. And I look at this and I say, you know, I would like to replace Henry over here with Sarah. So it turns out that this is a background image. You probably know in web design, there are embedded images and there are background images, as in the CSS background property. By the way, as I said, Elementor being a web design system, it's really a front-end CSS composer, if you will. If you know CSS and you like coding, and I do know CSS and I like coding, this saves you a ton of time. So I want to remove him. Now I said he's in the background of this section. So over here, someone got a dog. So I'm going to just make sure I select this. And when you're working with a section or a column or a widget, you usually get these three tabs at the top over here. Over here on the left, it'll either be layout or content. And then this is always going to be style. And this is always going to be advanced. And since we're dealing with style, let me click into that. And it's not really, now in Elementor talk, they say it's a background overlay. So here's my image over here, okay? And I click on this, and I'm just going to go to my media library. And what did I call this guy, Henry? Well, get out of the way. And I'm going to use Sarah, okay? Scott told me her name was Sarah, so, right, Scott? So I think that's her name. And I'm going to click on this. So I replace the image, obviously, and I want to reposition her because it's just not really kind of what I want. So all the position controls for the background image are right over here. And one thing I want to do is I don't want this to be over here. I want this to be top right. So we'll do this over here. It's a little better. And I also don't want this image to tile or repeat. So it does say no repeat, and that's fine. The other thing I want to do is move her down just a little bit. Let's just take a look. So for that, I'm going to go over to layout, and I'm going to go over to height. This is a great thing about Elementor, because in CSS code, height is a really hard thing to control. It's a little easier working with height property with Elementor. So I'm going to do a minimum height, and then I have this little slider here. And let's hope, yeah, let's hope we can get her to work right. Now, let's try it again. Like I said, you know, when you do one of these, you never know what you're going to get. Yeah, let's go back to here and layout and minimum height. Let's see if I can get this to, you know, it's not really working. Yeah, it is. Okay, there we go. So sometimes it's a little, there we go. I just want to drop this down this height just a little bit. Perfect. Okay, I'm happy. All right. And another thing I want to do right off the bat is get rid of these social icons, because I don't like social icons at the top of the page. I think you're just inviting your user to say goodbye. So I'm going to remove these, yet I want to reuse these later on. And I want to set these up as a global widget. So in Gutenberg talk, that would be a reusable block. And in Elementor talk, we call it a global widget. So for that, I'm just going to click on this little icon, this little pencil over here. And I'm just going to right click, and then I'm going to do save as a global, and then give it a name. And let me just call it social, just call it socials, okay? And I'm going to save it. Okay, and notice it's now up over here. So that's great, because I can now use this later on, and I'm going to. And I am going to now just eliminate this altogether. So for that, I can just, let me get this out of the way here. For that, let's just go back to here, and I am going to delete. Okay, and like I said, I've saved it to be used later on in a different circumstance, but it's gone from where I didn't want it on my page. And the last thing I want to do for the top part of the page is I want to change this. I want to reposition this. So this is a column. Let me move this a little bit and see if I can get the handle on. Okay, and I want to select that little right over here. So I'm in the column. If I wasn't sure, I could see, oh, this says edit column. Perfect. The column contains two widgets. One's a heading tag or heading element, and then there's a paragraph. And I want to just move these up. And there's different ways of like moving, you know, stuff on a web page. In this case, you know, you could, like I said, there's different techniques. I'm going to take I think the easiest way, the one that's going to cause me the less problems in terms of mobile and tablet design. So I am going to click on advanced, and for that, I am going to now use a negative margin right over here for the top. Let's see if I can just get that to work. Yeah, and then that'll go up here. Ta-da! Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. I was celebrating. I was in a happy mood, and it was okay. And the other thing I could do is I can now click into just the heading right over here. Let's see. It's an H2. I'm always very careful about my heading tags, my H2. Now you might say, well, why don't you use this as an H1? The H1 is coming. It's going to be in the header of the page. So H1, like I said, that's coming. H2 is fine for this. And if I want to, I can go into style, and I can also go into typography, and we can just make this any size we want. Let's see. Oh yeah, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And then of course, if I want to change the weight, the boldness, I can change that too. Woo. And that's it. I'm not going to, you know, you can change the font family, the typeface, you can do all kinds of stuff, but actually that's a little too heavy for me. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Something more, yeah, I'll just leave it that way. Okay. And of course, you know, I would change the typeface for this too. It's just the contrast is horrible. I'm thinking what else I might want to do with this. Oh yeah, so somebody's going to ask me sooner or later. Yeah, but what about mobile, right? You know, I mean, I've got this far, no one asked. Well, I know that I'm going to take questions later on, but so what about mobile? Well, Elementor is a really cool way of dealing with mobile. Sort of an easy way to deal with mobile. And let's just take a look. Not that mobile design is so easy, okay, but right over here. So this is the desktop version. And oh, by the way, you notice I haven't really looked at it yet on the site, but I could just click on this little guy over here and I'm getting a much better view of what I have. But I said I want to take a look at mobile. And what's great about Elementor is not just to take a look, you could actually do something about it. So here we go. So they have 3 presets. They have design and they have tablet and mobile. Okay, now each one of these has its own breakpoints, and you can control the breakpoints. If you guys know what gals know about CSS and breakpoints, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into that detail tonight, but let's just get into the tablet view. Okay, so right away, no, I don't like her flying off to the right. Well, what can I do about that? So now I can design just for this dimension, and all I'm going to do now is make sure I'm in the section, okay? And I am also now going to look for her, let me see, in the style, okay? And let's go to the overlay. And so for the overlay, we're not gonna change her, but we're going to, we're not gonna change the image, but we're going to use a custom positioning, okay? So this is fine. So this says the custom. Back over here, you know, these are the typical background CSS keyword positions, but you can customize it. We'll leave it just like that. And you can customize the image along, you can position it along the XY axis. So I'm going to move her just a little bit over here, and I'm going to drop her down this way, too much, just a tad, okay? And that's it. Now, again, not perfect, you know, but you get the idea. You can move elements around to suit your needs in mobile, or at least in this case, tablet. And then for mobile, a little bit different. So I click on this again, and I'm going to go to mobile. And again, she's a little, you know, she's not all there, as they would say. And so I'm going to make sure I'm in section. I'm in section. And again, I want to do the style, fine. Let's go down to background overlay, and we're in there. And I want to make sure I'm in custom, right? And then I can change these. You can even, you know, hide her and stuff like that if you want, but I just moved her over a little bit. So you can see that this is just a small little demonstration of its capabilities. Also, one of the nice little things, I won't get to show you this, but I'm going to just tell you this, is that, let me go back to desktop, is that, you know, in mobile, how columns collapse, usually like the left one goes on top of the right one. In Elementor, you can switch that around so that the right column can go on top of the left column, you know, to get like a single column look as you normally would in mobile. So a lot of really cool controls that deal with mobile and tablet size in Elementor. All right, let's look at this next section over here. And for this, I just want to add a little something that makes it a little, I'm going to use the, I'm going to go for the icon over here. So I'm going to drop in the icon, and wow, the star icon, of course you can change, you know, I'm not going to do it, but you can change what kind of icon you'd like. And in this case, I'm also going to, I want to run 3 of them into 3 different boxes here. So I'm going to now do a paste, and it comes down over here, which is okay. I'm just going to drag it up over here. And then I want another one. So instead of doing a copy this time, I'm just going to do a duplicate. And I'm going to just pull this over here. By the way, if any of you are wondering, this guy does not sound like he's from New Jersey. I'm not. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm more like you guys than I am of these people over here, even though I've been here for 40 years. Okay, so we've got that. And the other thing I want to do is a call to action button. So for that, I'm going to throw in a button over here. Okay, and I'm going to style this a little bit, just a tad. And I'm going to move this to the center. I centerize that. I want to make it a little bit bigger because I can't see very well. So that's good. Maybe it's too big, but yeah, it's too big. So I want to sort of make it like this. All right, and then I'm going to change the color. Now, one thing I neglected to do, and I can do it right now, really, is to set up what's called a global color. So it's sort of like a reusable color. You can build your own color palettes with Elementor real easily. So what do I mean? So I could say, you know, I really like this tan color down here, and I want to use this over and over and over again and make it really easy for me to get to that color. How do I do that? Well, back I go to this section. Let me make sure I have the section selected. And I'm in style, and now I'm in background, and I want to look at color, and you can see it's a gradient. Okay, these are the two different gradients that it runs through. I'm going to pick this color over here. It's a little darker, and I'm going to click on that. I'm not going to change a thing, but I am going to click on this little button over here, little to me anyway, and I am going to create. I'm going to create a color. I'm just going to call it tan. What a surprise! And then I am going to just click on this over here. Now you'll see later on, where does that show up? In fact, later on is going to be like in about a minute. So we've got that. In fact, sooner than a minute. Back to my button over here. I click on the button. I want to make sure I'm in the button widget. Yeah, I'm in the button widget. And I'm going to create, I'm going to go into style, and I want to have, let's just take a look over here. I want to do the background color. Now, here's where I'm going to find, let's see. Yeah. So here are the colors that have been set up already. And the one I just set up is tan. Okay. That wasn't there before. You know, if I set up a color and I don't like it, I could always trash it. But I like this color. So I just set it up. And of course, I would change the background text. I could do that, I guess. Typography, let's do the color. No, I'm just going to do text color. I'm just going to leave. Now I'm going to just leave it alone. So, you know, I would change it, but I just want to leave it alone. And of course, you know, remember, you're dealing with a button here, so don't forget to put in the URL. That would help. All right. Now, I want to create 3 other buttons down here, so, or 2 other buttons down here. So how do I do that? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. I'm going to show you like sort of a cool way. And that is, I'm going to just take button over here. Okay, where's button? Come on, don't be shy. Okay, here we go. Button over here, okay. And button over here. Let's see, here we go. All right, and I want the same styling. Now, rather than, you know, making it hard on yourself, all you have to do is right click on that little pencil and copy. And right over here, you want to paste style. Look at that. So that is so handy to keep things uniform. Woohoo. Man, do I love this. When I saw this, I was like, you're kidding, this is great. So that's that. Now I want to add one more piece, and we're going to be done with the home page, and then we can start getting more about different kinds of templates. And for this, I'm going to use dynamic text. So this is also sort of a more advanced thing, but it's not really so impossible to understand. And I'm going to put this, it's actually going to be a dynamic text and a dynamic image. And what do I mean by dynamic? It means I'm going to pull this information right from the database. And this information that you're about to see was created by the user. Now the user is me. So let's say, you know, somebody who's created an account on a membership site or e-commerce or whatever. It's a million, you know, uses of this. All right, let me stop talking and show it to you. So for this, I'm going to click on the plus button. And now instead of grabbing a template, I'm going to create a new section. And I'm going to just give me a 2-column layout right over here. And it's right over here. Of course, the columns, everything in Elementor is drag and droppable. I mean, it's phenomenally, reliably drag and drop, which is wonderful. So in this one over here, I'm going to put in some dynamic text. I'm just going to put in a text widget. And the dynamic icon is, well, for me, everything's tiny, but it's right over here. And these are my little options of what I can pull from the database. And what I'm going to pull is user info, okay? And specifically, when I click on the user info, this will drop down settings, choose one, and I'm going to pick, there isn't a whole lot of data, so I'm going to pick first name. And of course, if all goes well, it hasn't gone well yet. It should be coming from the database any minute. Let's see if it has. Yeah, it's there. Okay, trust me. There it is. My name is there. Haha. So, like I said, this is being the fact that I have a user account with the site. That's the reason why my name is popping up over here. So yes, the user would have to be logged into the site in order for the data to, their name to show up. And then I want to just do one other thing too, which is kind of cool with this. Again, I have to click on that icon and go back to here, settings, advanced, and they have before, after, and fallback, meaning what do you want the content to say before Bud, okay, before, so I'm just going to say, hey, space, and if all goes well, we'll see it in a second, and then comma, you are doing good. Wouldn't it be you are doing well? Okay, and you can see now, let me just get this a little out of the way. Yeah, and that's fine, okay? And if I make mistakes, well, what are you gonna do? You are doing good. Nope, you're not doing that good. So let me just fix this real quick if I can. Now, let's do this real quick. I want to do, here we go. It's kind of hard to find. I have to admit, this is one of these little things that are, okay. All right, yeah, it's kind of hard to, it's a little bit, okay. And one last little thing I want to do is for style. I just want to make this a little bit on the center and maybe make it a little bit bigger. So for typography, we're talking about making it bigger. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, and then over here in the other column, I said I want to do a dynamic image. Okay, so what do you mean? So I'm going to take image. I'm going to put image over here. Okay, and again, I'm looking for that dynamic. Here is the dynamic indicator. And then here are my choices over here. And I'm going to do the user profile picture, which is a gravatar. So you can see that depending on how you build the data in your database, what kind of inputs in the database, you can pull that content and populate your pages with these dynamic resources that Elementor has built in. Okay, I'm sort of done, but not really. I want to use this section over and over again, sort of like that global social widget that I made in the beginning, which I haven't used yet. So what do I do for that? Well, that's pretty easy. I'm just going to right click over here and it's going to say save as template. And I'm going to name it user info. There we go. I've been there before. And so that becomes a reusable, if it's Elementor, this would be a reusable block, or in this case, it's really a couple of blocks. All right, and it's a little reusable template. Tremendous. And that's it for my homepage. Now, you notice I haven't run out and looked at it from the, I could do that real quick. Let's just update, or let's, and we can now look at this. Hold on a second. Let me do this, and you can see with any bit of luck. Yep, there she is. Okay. And okay. But what this lacks is a good header with navigation and a footer. And I am going to create both of those using something that's very powerful, and that's the theme builder templates. One thing, when something's designated as a theme builder template, when you make a change to a theme builder template, it changes across the entire site. That's really nice. All right, so let's try it. I say try because the other day I was having all kinds of problems, without any way of me. Anyway, so usually it's reliable. All right, so for that, we go to Elementor and we go to templates. Now, theme builder is a pro feature. Okay, this is not with the free version. That much I remember. And I'm going to click on theme builder. And you can see all these different parts, right? And I want to first build a header. I don't have any now, but I am going to build a header. And okay, you don't have create your first header. And it's already, so I could change my mind. I have all these different types of templates I could build. But I'm going to do header, and I'm going to just call it site header. And you can have different, as you'll see, well, I'll get to that in a second. I don't want to get ahead of my story here. All right. And again, you could choose, pre-built templates for your theme header, for your theme builder header, but not me. No, we do it from scratch. So for that, I'm going to do a 2-column layout. And in the first column over here, I'm going to select the site title. Now, these widgets over here are really, I guess the best way to describe them is that they're going to apply, they're special in the sense that they're going to apply across the entire site. So I'm going to use site title, and there we are. And of course, the words are us. I did this beforehand when I created the site. If you want to edit something like this, you would just go into your general settings and change your site title. So that's where this is coming from. And then I also want to, in this widget over here, or this column, I'm going to add a menu. And for that, we're going to do over here, I'm going to drop it in. And for the menu, I'm going to, well, we only have one. So normally you would select, well, which one do you want? Well, there's only one to select. So that's done. And that is done. And I am going to put a color background. So it's going to be a little easier to see. And for that, select the section, make sure I'm in section, go to the background. And for this, I am going to select the color. And let's do the global colors, and that's good enough. And I also want to go back here inside of the heading, make sure I'm in the heading, yes. And for the typography, let's choose, oops, I want to just choose, sorry, for the text color, I want to use, nope, I want to use this over here, there we go, white, okay. And now for the links too, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to click that little icon to the right. And for this, and we go to, let me just take a quickie look over here. Drop down, yeah, you could do all kinds of that, but we want to do just the typography. And, oh, sorry. Yeah, text color. We can do white. And as you can see, you could set it for the normal state, the active state, the hover state, the typical states of any link. And I'm just going to leave it just like this, and I'm going to save it. Okay. And now we are going to add this. Now, here's something that's really important. This is what theme building is all about. And Elementor is asking, where do you want this to show up? And in my case, I want this to go across the entire site. Now, there might be instances where I want different headings, different headers for different parts of my site. And in fact, on my Joy of WP site, I have 2 different headers, depending on where you are on the site, because I have different reasons for it. And if I wanted also, I could really be very granular and pick, what pages you want or what archives you want. But I don't want to be granular. I want to be global. I want to apply to the entire site. Excuse me. And now I'm going to click this add button over here. And so now I have, that's fine. If I go over here and I reload, perfect. It's exactly what I want. All right, and we'll take a look at these other pages. We're not gonna do a whole lot with this, but I'll just show you in a second or two. And now as far as the footer goes, let's do that. So this is one of the things that I don't like about Elementor. It's always hard to get back to the, the traditional WP admin. Although you are in the WP admin, so let's, but it's just weird. You gotta go back and back. Okay, here we go. And now I wanna go to the templates, and I wanna go to theme builder templates, like where I was before. And now you'll see that I have this one header, but now I want to do a footer. So I click on footer. I don't have any footers yet. And I am going to, so footer is fine, and I have to give it a name. So let's just call it site footer. Okay. And it'll take me to the design page. And again, I don't want thank you, but no thank you. This time, it's kind of cool because now you see I have this over here and then the content area, and I'm going to have I'm going to do a 3-column layout for the footer. And so for the first one over here, well, let's see, here's all my widgets. Here's my global widget. I want to use that. I'm going to drag it in here. And what do you know? Now, you say like, you could have just done something else. Well, if I wanted to use these icons anywhere else in my site, maybe a sidebar, maybe in the middle of the content, maybe at the top of the content, I could use it. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted this as a global widget. What does this mean over here? If you edit the widget, this will apply across the entire site, okay? If you unlock it or unlink it, you will only be editing it for this instance. In my case, I don't want to do anything. I just want to leave it the way it is. And then over here, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to slip in some magical text over here. And I'm also going to go back to here, click on this, and some more magical text over here. And good. Now, I also want to create a background, like the background that's similar to the, let's go background, and why am I blanking out here? Okay. I want to use background. Hold on a second. Background. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. And of course, I'm not going to, use the background. One of the cool, I'm not going to change the font of the color of the text, but one of the interesting things about column that's hard to do in coding, but pretty easy to do in Elementor, is that you can drop this down. So you could say vertical align. This actually is going to work. And you could do middle. So you can see that your text, wow, is like in the middle. Nice, much better spacing. And of course, if you like it that much, you can just always do copy. And then over here, paste the style so that you can save yourself some time. Oops, I don't think I pasted the style. Paste style. Well, let's try one more time. Copy. We're almost done, folks. So if you're wondering, guys, it's going to go on forever. No. I don't know. All right, I'm not going to mess around with it. So now, same thing, kind of rinse and repeat. Let's do this. Look, let's do this. You want to add it. Entire site. Again, we have these different options here. If you get like a site that's got a lot of custom post types and a lot of all kinds of, much more developed than this, you're going to see all those options too. Let's say you have a site that's got, webinars and videos and whatever, however, different memberships, So, you know, the custom post types. Anyway, we just have this. And I'm going to click on this. And all right, now the big reveal. We're going to click on, we're going to refresh. And it worked. So here's my, I say, you sound like, why are you so surprised? Well, the other day it didn't. So there's my footer. Of course, I could go back in here and add some margin and spacing over here. You know, I'm not going to do that because it's kind of like basic stuff. And I can do way more styling. Here's the cool thing though. If you go to any page, let's say you go to, I want to do the About Us page now. So now you can start working in your About Us page. You're done. You've got the two theme parts. And let's just say we did want to do the about. I got two more things to show you, and then I'll open it up for questions. So for this, I'm going to go into this now. Let's see. Okay, so this is the About Us. Yeah, and I'm not really sure why this is here already. That's really kind of interesting. Let's just take one more look. That's really another page. And we'll just take one last look. The idea is you would yeah, this is, I'm not really sure why that happened. But you would then go over here and you would pick your templates, also known as my templates. And I'm going to go for the user. Okay, I'm going to insert that. And there I am. So I've created, I don't know what's going on. Here we go. So I've created a reusable template. Now, if I make a change here, this isn't going to affect the entire site. It's only going to affect over here. But one last thing I'm going to show you, and then it's question time. And that is, you might have noticed that, hey, what's this over here? Well, or over here. These sections are locked off. Yeah, because these are the theme builder templates. You can't edit them when you see this orangey, yellowy thing over here, I guess orange. So in order to edit that, let's just do a little, let's go back to the home page. And I'd rather show it to you that way. And like I say, well, I'm going to leave. So here now, it's interesting. I can go directly into, you know, the site header and site footer to edit, but that's not fun. So I want to do it this way. So I'm in my, let's say I'm editing my beautiful homepage, but like I said, I can't do my footer and my header unless I click on this. And then when I do that, notice this one is now editable, not something you can eat, but just editable. And over here, this section is not editable. This page is not editable. Neither is this, footer. So if I edit over here, if I add an image, take this menu out, put a new menu in, whatever, this is going to change the colors. This will change across the entire site. So using the theme builder templates allows you to control the repeating content throughout your site in terms of building it and then updating it later on. So it's a real time saver. And with that, I did it. I'm open for questions. I hope you guys have a few good ones that I can answer.
Great. Thank you so much, Bud.
My pleasure.
Great to see it in action and real time. And
yeah, and it worked.
Yes, for sure. Good job. There's just a few little tidbits from the chat. So a question was about Elementor. Does it allow selecting images that are missing alt text? Maybe there's no enforcement there about that's a requirement.
Well, yeah. I mean, the quickie answer on that one is, suppose we wanted to, now you see I can't edit into this. So I would have to like get out of this. Well, I'd have to actually, let me just get out of it here. And then I'm going to go into, let's go into here. And then we go into here and we'll just take a quickie look at this. And if I wanted to, and I really don't know, I must have put this here, so I'm just going to knock that out. So here we have an embedded image right over here. Here we go, embedded image. And yeah, here is where, of course, it's like, good old WordPress, what you know. Now, I don't know why I'm not seeing my screen over here. Maybe, that's interesting. I don't know why.
Maybe.
Oh, I know why. You have to select an image. That might help. So you would put in a brief text description over here. And then the usual WordPress stuff that you see in a media library is going to show up right over here. So yeah, you could definitely do alternative text descriptions for your images. And of course, as one who's visually impaired, I don't use screen reader like the kind that real blind people use, like JAWS or any of those. I just use my Mac output kind of thing, and it doesn't read the text. But if you're using a real heavy duty screen reader, the text that's used in the alternative text description is what would be spoken out loud. I hope that helped.
Great. These next questions might have been, I should have maybe gently interrupted you to ask, but someone was asking or just letting us
I
know.
can do a repeat. I just press the repeat button. That's all.
Someone was noting that dynamic content is a pro feature. Okay, good.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the one question.
Anything, I mean, it's always like, well, anything that would take a lot of money and time to develop, like dynamic stuff, that's would be a pro feature, yeah.
Right. Another question is, can you double click into text boxes and edit directly in them?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't really like doing it that way, but let's just do it real quick. So let's say we have a text box. It's not so you're saying, can I just go into here? So, because Elementor is a bit of an indirect editor in that we're playing with text over here usually. But you can do this like, so it works, right? So you can do direct input, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so for all your text elements, the answer is yes. But it seems like most people use right over here, which is kind of interesting.
Sure.
Sort of reminds me of the classic WordPress editor, doesn't it? Sure, with the tiny MCE icons and all that, like, so.
The next question is, do settings for hover states automatically apply to focus states, or are there a different setting for on focus?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, that they are the same, but don't hold me to that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's the best answer I can give you. It would seem so. It would seem so.
Sure. Sure. And then Keenan asks, where do you see Elementor in a Gutenberg future? As you noted in your talk, many of these features also have Gutenberg equivalents.
Yes.
Do you see Elementor forking from WordPress or shifting to a model where they build on top of Gutenberg, especially considering the performance differences that have been noted between the two?
Yeah.
And that kind of links to something that may have some more information on that.
Yeah. I think, all right, I'll just give you my take. It's as good or as bad as anybody else's. But right now, Gutenberg is in kindergarten and Elementor is in graduate school. Okay. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. Of course, I think there's a huge future for Gutenberg. Personally, I wish that Automatic had purchased Elementor and then made it their own and made it WordPress core, but it didn't work out that way. I think I still think there's a big future for Elementor. Elementor has got such a head start. I mean, think about Gutenberg right now is talking about full site editing. And I laugh about, you may have heard something about that in the WP Tavern this week, but I laugh about that because, well, that's what Elementor does now flawlessly. But do I think Gutenberg is going to get there? And right now, if they get there and they continue the performance of Elementor's, Gutenberg is outstanding. So let's see them keep that up. But No, I have, and I know that people are starting to think I'm an Elementor guy. I'm really a both guy. I mean, I like both an awful lot, but like everybody else, I get frustrated with Gutenberg because I know it's still so beta-ish, especially if you're looking at the full site editing capability. It just frustrates me. And if you're doing projects for clients, I mean, what are you going to tell them? They don't care. They don't, a lot of them really, they just want you to get the job done.
Do you see that it's beta-ish because of the kind of level of functionality it delivers?
Yeah. I mean, and I know a lot of the Gutenberg people, and they're great and they're brilliant, and I know they're going to get there. But what fascinates me is the role of the theme as we go forward. Take Elementor. You could take, like I said in the beginning, the theme. You could say to the theme, okay, you go sit in the corner. I'm taking over. WordPress is transforming into a web design tool. Up until Gutenberg, it's really a web development tool. Now, it'll always still be a web development tool, but it's also becoming a web design tool, which is so different. And Gutenberg already is a web design tool. So, wow, it's got a lot of growing pains to go through, and it's going to be, geez, it drives me nuts. I wish it were already more developed, but I just have to be patient. But I can't use it for projects unless it's the simple stuff. Now, I know people say, no, you can design elegant, beautiful websites with Gutenberg, and I believe that, but I have trouble with it. So that's just my take.
Okay, one of the last questions at the moment in the chat is, have you used Envato Elementor template kits?
I have you no, yeah, you mean Elements kit, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Envato Elements.
Yeah.
Elementor template kits.
Well, I don't know if that's the same. Is that this? I'm not sure if that's the same thing as Elements kit.
I just clicked on the link that that the person.
Yeah, why don't you? I don't have to share my screen anymore. I guess why don't you? Right? Can I just take a look?
Sure.
I can stop sharing.
And
okay. Pressure's off.
Davru has provided the link, Bud. If you want to look in the chat, he has a link to the elements.envato.com.
Yeah, it's Drew, man. He's always throwing those curveballs there at the end. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Oh, is this like I'm being tested now? Is that
no, I'm kidding.
I know Drew.
I know Drew. He's always
Elementor.
I know Drew. He's always always throwing good ideas out.
He's your troublemaker.
Yeah, Drew.
Got one, right? Let me just see. No, we didn't use. Let me just. No. This I've heard of this. I haven't used it. I've used Elements Kit. There's a lot of, like all these big plugins, there's a whole ecosystem that's developed around them. And basically when it comes to Elementor, these plugins either give you more widgets, give you more templates, give you access to other services, on and on it goes. So, this one, I've used Elements Kit, and that's really pretty good. It let us create a mega menu, which I don't like, but a client loved, so that was that. So anything, would you guys share the links to my site for the newsletter and the free videos and the, what other stuff I'm giving away? Everything.
I put a link to your newsletter sign up in the chat, and I just signed up myself and got the confirmation email. So
it worked.
Yep.
Yeah. And is there anything else that I could, if anybody is using, by the way, I'm also become a little more active now with the Elementor community on Facebook and on Reddit. So maybe I'll see you there. You never know.
Maybe one other question I might have for you is, so you're saying you're kind of like a both Gutenberg and Elementor. Do you make that decision once you know what kind of site, or do you try to always go towards,
it just depends on so many factors. Is the client going to be involved in the site after it's launched? Performance, who's the web host? There's like a zillion, things. So I can't just say one or the other. But if the question is, do you lean one way or the other? Yeah, right now I'm leaning to Elementor. I think it's a fair statement. You know, I'm sort of looking towards Elementor, but you know, if it's a project that I could say like, you know, we don't need Elementor, then no.
May I add something? I just, y'all know me. I'm neither here or I'm neither against or for either one of them.
Right.
I'm totally neutral on this topic. But I think that, it's interesting with the article that Keenan shared with the speed testing that yes, a simple Gutenberg install is going to smoke any theme or page builder because it's all built in, and the core, the Gutenberg and the core team have done a great job of optimizing all those assets. But there's not a ton. I mean, it's like, yes, when you put stuff on top of WordPress like Elementor or Divi or any other sort of all these add-ons for, if you start throwing these plugins for these add-ons for Gutenberg to get some sort of basic theme building tools inside of Gutenberg, I shouldn't guarantee, I don't know, but I'm guessing the speed tests are going to go down like this just because as soon as you start adding stuff on, you're going to get that natural bloat that happens. So it's like it's 6 to 1 half and doesn't the other, and I sort of agree.
Yeah,
I have unused style sheets. Lots of unused coverage in the style sheets.
One other thing too, this is what I've heard, and I'm fairly certain they're working on this, is that, this is not a rumor or misinformation, I don't think, but Elementor is eventually probably going to go head to head with WordPress.com. So you'll be able to go to Elementor.com and build your own Elementor sites, because when you think about it, they've done all the hard work. Why not have an online version of Elementor? And I think that's coming. But I also have it on pretty good word that Elementor is still very dedicated to the small individuals, small agencies, that they're not gunning for enterprise sites at this point, not yet. So we'll see. It's interesting, right? Nothing ever stays the same. It's always changing.
I'm sorry, I just saw another question that I didn't catch. The question is from Barbara. She says, is there something free to use besides Google Maps? I don't quite know.
Besides Google Maps?
I don't know if that cooked in with anything. Well,
there is a Google Map. I'm sure I am.
Oh, she's still on. Oh, good, Barbara. Okay. I don't know. Maybe if that does Elementor have a widget type for Google Maps?
Yeah, I don't know if it's built in. I haven't used it lately. I forgot if it is. It probably is built in, or you can get it with the Pro feature, or you can get it with one of the, there's a very well-known essential Elementor add-ons is a biggie that's got a gazillion, plugins that fill in the gaps that Elementor itself doesn't do. So.
Okay.
As Scott said to open maps. I think what Barbara might have been asking is, in general, is there a way to not use Google Maps?
Oh.
And quite honestly, I understand the question because I've been asked it by customers myself.
And the answer is yes.
Oh, I mean, yeah, open maps. Yeah, open maps, which I've never used. But
you probably would have to use a separate plugin to use open maps. Like it wouldn't be a native integration to WordPress or Gutenberg. But if you wanted to get around, not going to the developer setup, or then, like Chris said, not giving the credit card to Google, I think that's an option. Chris, have you used it?
I've only got like one client who actually has enough interaction, and they wanted enough of custom features. Like when you start typing somebody's address into some forms, like if you go onto a big retailer site and you start putting your address in, it auto populates, and like the address line pops open and boom, there's your address. That's a paid feature with Google Maps. But for the average user, like, the other 32 clients of mine, they don't even come close to 10,000 map interactions a month. So it's still essentially free. The knee jerk is, what, I have to give you my credit card number? It's like, they already know it.
Yeah, it's also, it's like tricky because if it's a client site, let's just say the client site blows up, I don't want my credit card on file with Google for a map integration when, let's say Oprah mentions their website, all of a sudden, there's like 10,000 views or whatever, and you pay per transact per the, it goes over, but who knows? It's a tricky situation.
Well, but dude, it's like so cheap too. I mean, it's like, it's $1 per 10,000 or something like that. So you would have to get like Noah Art, man. It would have to be the end of the world deluge to really break your bank,
True. The other thing is, like, I remember I used to just use the embed feature in Google Maps, but then like you'd see like the clients would see their competitors on their own website, so like that didn't work either. You got to really kind of integrate it where you have control over the map pins and stuff like that. So 6 to 1 half a dozen.
Well, yeah, and that's an issue that I have with my clients all the time with brand spanking new websites, and Google My Business is still settling in Search Console, whatever they're calling it this week. That's all settling in, and it's not propagated through the Google ecosphere yet. And they're like, well, why am I not showing on my map? Well, you're showing on your map on your website because I put it in there, but you got to give Google at least 48 hours for it to, like if you go into a clean non-cached browser and Google you, it may not be there yet, and it's not because you haven't given Google enough money. It's just they're big, and it takes time for them to turn that battleship a little bit,
Yeah.
But the client thinks it should have happened yesterday. We all know that, right?
Yeah, true. Cool. Bud, that was a great presentation. Thank you so much for
Well, I just want to
sharing
say,
with us.
yeah, sorry. I just want to say, hey, I hope that if I get to apply for WordCamp Chicago, I hope you guys will select me so I can meet all you people, and you'll go, hey, you did a meetup thing for us back in March of 2021. So that'd be great, to meet you guys. So, I love Chicago. It's a great city, just absolutely wonderful city. And anytime I get a chance to go there, I'm there. So,
Are we taking predictions? What does anyone think? WordCamp 2022, 2023?
I'm just asking, is it pushed back in the year, or is it already over with? Did I miss it, or?
Well, we were scheduled to have, WordCamp Chicago 2020, and we canceled that.
Right.
And then with not being able to schedule it this year, so it's,
Okay.
I think it was
2022.
originally planned for beginning of May, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was first weekend of May. And we haven't, to answer your question, Chris, we haven't planned anything virtually for this year yet. So
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if there's any newcomers here, I got into this, I don't know, 9 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that. And we're going to a WordCamp Chicago was the best, like $80 I ever spent in my life.
Yep, I bet.
They
charged you $80 in Chicago? Wow,
I was gonna say it's not even that expensive. Even what we were gonna charge last year. So
it was like
it's
three
more of a value
days
than that.
full,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get, in New York, we charge about $40-$50 and you get about 500 hours of value and then some.
Yeah, and really the people that you meet, this is the important thing about it actually being online, is grabbing somebody after a session or a breakout and picking their brains. I'm talking to a guy that could be my kid, and he's been coding like 5 years, and he's blowing my mind, with stuff he can do, and but that's what I needed to hear too,
Yeah, well, I've said this to Scott, and that is, the best thing about WordPress is the community. The software ain't bad, but the community's even better.
I don't know that I agree about the software not being bad, but hey, it's taking over the world, so
That is
you gotta
true.
deal with it.
Yeah, that is certainly true.
Thanks,
Regina.
guys. Thanks, Bud.
Hey, Regina, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. So
Hi, I'm just a party crasher here.
yeah, no, it's good to see you. Well, hey, Bud, thank you. China, thank you.
Guys.
Everyone else, thank
Yeah.
you.
So much
Let's
fun.
I
Thank
think
you
that's a
all.
wrap. Yep.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you
again.
again.
Bye, y'all.
Take
Good
care.
night. Bye-bye.